Hello and welcome to Inspirational Life. This is Beverly Holloway, your inspirational life guru. I want to welcome you here to this video today. For those of you that don't know, I want to take a moment to just introduce myself to you. I am a healing arts practitioner, teacher, and spiritual transition coach on a mission to inspire as many people as I possibly can towards discovering their divine purpose. I act as a catalyst to help get you jump started in the right direction. And as a spiritual transition coach, I like to use this definition, that of Harriet Tubman, the way that she led the slaves out of physical captivity. It's my mission to actually lead people that are in spiritual bondage and captivity into the reality and the truth of who they really are. And so that is my passion. That is my mission, to help people to actually navigate their way through their spiritual awakening process. And as a matter of fact, that's what this video is about today, that I'm going to be sharing with you. I'm going to be sharing with you some things regarding the spiritual awakening process so that you will be able to locate where you are spiritually and see if you are actually showing signs of going through a spiritual awakening. Because we hear that phrase all the time. I know that I personally throw it out there a lot of times, and I know that there are people that have sometimes asked, well, what do you mean by a spiritual awakening? And so that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. Now, I want to mention first off that if this resonates with you, if you have reached a crossroad in your life, in your ministry, or whatever, and you would like to schedule a free inspirational life session with me, then I want to encourage you to go to my website at www.inspirationallifewellness.com. You can actually book your session there. And during this session, we will really be able to dig deep into your soul and find out where you are spiritually, what your soul desires are, and how you can begin to manifest those desires here in the earth. And so what is a spiritual awakening? Well, a spiritual awakening is when you begin to wake up to the truth of who you really are. You finally reach a point in your life when you realize that you're not just a human here in the earth that have been placed here just to take up space, but you will begin to have a greater understanding of who you are as a spiritual being. You are spirit. That is the real you. And it's important that once you come into the knowledge of who you really are, that you begin to put aside feeding the flesh and begin to feed your spirit man. And so during this time of spiritual awakening, you will reach a point in your life where things that used to resonate with you just don't seem to resonate with you any longer. You're realizing that there's a deeper sense of calling. Your soul is actually crying out for your attention, and you're going to have a sensing that you need to actually begin to look inward into that inner part of who you are, because there's a calling, there's a thirsting, there's a hungering to know more about what your purpose is in this earth. And so you're going to all of a sudden begin to speak a different language. You're going to begin to go through a metamorphosis, just like a caterpillar begins to evolve into a beautiful butterfly. No longer are you going to be satisfied with just slithering around here in the earth, but no, you are going to begin to put on a new you, put on a new uniform, so to speak, and you're going to begin to evolve and to change and to emerge into a butterfly in a sense. And so we know that caterpillars they can't fly, but a butterfly can fly. And when you reach that stage, when you are no longer in this cocoon and you begin to soar into a higher level of your spiritual existence, you're going to begin to see things from a different perspective. Things that you were actually taught in past times, you may begin to dig a little deeper into why you believe the way that you believe. Is it because someone else told you? Is it because grandma did? Grandfather did? Because the pastor said? But no, you're going to become a person that is going to take responsibility for your own existence, and you're going to begin to seek out a deeper truth so that you can be held accountable for your own existence. And so now when you begin to make this change and this transition, people are not going to recognize you anymore because you're no longer going to be looking like a caterpillar. You're not going to be down there on that level anymore because you have ascended into a higher place. Now, this doesn't mean that you are better than anyone else because we're all on different levels when it comes to spiritual things. But you're going to be letting go of the old you and putting on a new cloak, so to speak. And so people are going to, begin to maybe distance themselves from you. Or perhaps maybe you're going to realize that certain relationships just don't seem to serve you any longer. And so there will come a time where there'll be perhaps a breaking down of relationships. All of a sudden, you may lose an interest in your job. You may lose your job, and you'll find yourself in a place where everything seems to be dark. And this is when it's so important that you call upon the grace of God so that you can actually maneuver your way through this place, because it's going to be uncharted territory. It's going to be very uncomfortable. It's going to be something that you're not used to. And so there may be symptoms that will develop, such as depression, anxiety. You may feel hopeless. You may feel alone, as though nobody understands you. You're along this journey all by yourself. That's why I have a passion to actually help people maneuver their way through this particular process. And so again, it's so important that you begin to employ principles. This is when you actually become a true disciple, in a sense. Now, that word disciple comes from the word discipline. So there's a disciplining that's going to take place during this time. And it's important that you employ other practices that will help you remain centered and help you to remain grounded during this time. Now, one way of keeping yourself grounded during this time is meditation. Now, I know this is where a lot of religious folks get hung up when you start talking about yoga, when you start talking about meditation, because these are practices that other religions have seemed to master. They seem to make a deeper connection with the Spirit of God as it relates to them disciplining themselves by way of using these other practices that some religions don't embrace. That's why it's so important not to be a religious fanatic, not to be spiritually prejudiced when it comes to things like this, or have a religious prejudice against other religions. But we can actually embrace certain practices and learn from other people that seem to be mastering the art of being disciplined in their life. And so you'll have to gain some practices that are going to help you during this time of darkness in your life so that you can actually come through with flying colors. And so you'll reach a point during this time where, like I said, your job, your 9 to 5 job just may not satisfy you anymore. You may decide to make certain decisions during this time where you'll feel as though you need to find a position that is really more in alignment with what your heart is telling you that you need to do. Not everybody's going to understand it. And so there's going to be times when you're going to have to stand strong and be led of your spirit and not by the opinions of other people. So I just want to encourage you that if this is you, if you find yourself right now at a point where you're feeling depressed, it seems as though nothing seems to be working in your life, I want to encourage you that that's a great thing, because you are going through a metamorphosis. You're going through a change in your life, and it's a good thing. So this isn't a time for you to crouch back, for you to look back and be questioning yourself, asking yourself, what did I do wrong? No, you didn't do anything wrong. It's that you have reached a place in your life where you are beginning to wake up. Wake up. That is the good news, okay? That's the gospel. You are beginning to wake up and to come into a greater spiritual awareness and consciousness of who God truly is on the inside of you. And that, my friend, is good news. So again, I want to encourage you to reach out to me at www.inspirational life wellness. You can also connect with me on Facebook on my page, Inspirational Life Wellness, or on my personal page, Beverly Holloway. You can reach me on Instagram. My username on Instagram is Inspirational Life Guru. You can catch me on Twitter, Beverly Holloway @ The Realist. So I want to encourage you today that I am with you to help you during your spiritual awakening process. All right. So until next time, be encouraged. Stay rooted and grounded in what you believe, and follow your intuition. Follow your gut each and every day. All right. Until next time, smooches.